idea. Here we go. The streaming has started. Right, ready to record.
Yes.
Go. In 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. What a professional outfit we are. He says closing OBS when he doesn't mean to.
Oh dear.
I didn't close it, I minimized it. Sorry.
Okay.
Why has it got this guest? Ah, fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna type something in here because it says guest or edit name, and it's like.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
I could do it too.
I guess we could all do that.
Just in case there's any mistake that, you know.
Oh, it's in capital, whatever.
And Kelsey, you're only allowed 3 letters. You shouldn't have taken 4. The rest of us only have 3. Come on.
Okay, hold on.
I've changed mine to also Sam. Also Sam, brackets, not Sam. As if I was ever gonna
Okay, well then I'm adding my S.
Go for it.
Kels. There we go. Alright, now we're good to go. The S is there, we're ready to rock. Okay, right. What are we? 170 and it's 2nd of November. Right, okay. Hello everybody, it's Thursday, 2nd of November, and this is Talking Games episode 170. My name is Hugh, and my co-hosts this week are Miss I Got an A, Kelsey Lavati.
Hi!
And Bossy Pants, Sam Suvak.
Hello, I'm here to keep everybody in line.
So yeah, Kelsey, tell us your good news.
It has something to do with that I went to play the first 3 chapters of Battlefront, which I'll talk about later. But that day I had a midterm, and I decided to skip a morning of studying to go play Star Wars. And so I was accepting that I wasn't going to do well, and I ended up getting an A on the midterm. So I'm very, very happy. I really thought I was going to be in a bad mood tonight, but I'm in a good mood.
Good job.
Fucking A, Kelsey. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I will take a sip from my water bottle for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our celebratory waters. We get crazy here on Talking
Fucking
Games.
edgecore. So yeah, it's just the 3 of us this week. Bobby and Justin are busy today.
Getting married.
Yes, they are getting married to Jackie and Jay. So it's a 4-way weird nuptial thing. Basically, former Talking Games co-host Jackie Turner and her lovely hetero life mate Jay got married today after 10 years of being an item. So massive congratulations to them, and may God have mercy on Jay's soul. So we've got a good chunk of news to get through this week. Turns happening, Paris Game Week, Battlefront, blah 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 blah. We'll be addressing all that later, and Mario freaking Odyssey, as well as a sob story about my Switch. But first of all, we're going to do our traditional lightning rounds, and I will take the lead on this one. I should probably get my phone and get the timer on. Never hurts to be prepared. So, 3 minutes and go. So, just before Mario Odyssey came out, because basically I've got like 3-4 weeks worth of stuff to talk about because I haven't been on the show for a while, I was having sort of a lot of cravings to play a Mario game, and I was thinking to myself, I really remember loving the shit out of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. But I don't have my Wii anymore. I got rid of it. So I sent Matt a message saying, do you know anything about Wii emulators for PC? And it was like, no, I don't. And I was like, okay. So I'll just do some Googling. 10 minutes later, I had a Wii emulator called Dolphin, which is very good. I highly recommend it. Very simple to use. Loaded onto my PC, and so far I've downloaded Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, New Super Mario Brothers, and it also runs GameCube games, so I've got Luigi's Mansion as well. And I'm having a blast with it. It works really, really well, and you can run the games in full high definition, and you can even bump the anti-aliasing up, and they look crisp as hell. It's quite funny though, because the end-game graphics, as amazing as they look, it makes the cutscenes look like garbage because they're so low res. But the resolution on them, it looks fantastic. I mean, there's a bit of fiddling around with mapping the controls, but that aside, it's great fun. So if anybody wants to know how to install and use a Dolphin emulator, just hit me up and I'll gladly run you through it. I also played through and thoroughly enjoyed the story mode on FIFA 18 called The Journey, which is a continuation of Alex Hunter, the character from FIFA 17's story. And I gotta say, it's really, really good, really well written. Like, there's some good, like, really touching moments in it. It's funny. You actually get, like, really invested in the characters. And it's some good sort of, like, a bit of family drama to it. It kind of gets derailed towards the end because it's almost as if the game suddenly goes, "Oh, we really should have you play some more games of football, as opposed to throwing all this story at you." So it just kind of like, you get to this point where you have like this long run of games without any story, so it kind of like derails it a bit. But it's good. FIFA 18 in itself isn't the better football game this year, but it does have that mode over Pro Evolution Soccer 2018, and it's quite a big thing actually. I think it's great. They're doing a really good job with it. And I'm about 6 hours into Wolfenstein 2, and I'm going to talk about this even though my time's up because it deserves it. And I'm friggin' loving it. It basically just takes everything that the first game did and just knocks the freaking... It's basically Nigel Tufnell with his amp that goes up to 11. And it's great. Like, and it's very cinematic. Like, I would say, like, if they brought this out as a movie, just, you know, where the shooting scenes, if you cut them down a bit so they're not so prolonged, it would work incredibly well. And I've just got to this bit where it's added like a new sort of game, like a new ability that you have. I won't say what it is, and it just kind of like adds this whole new like facet to the game. So yeah, that Wolfenstein 2, get it. It's freaking cool, especially if you enjoyed the first one. It's amazing. So that's me with my half an hour lightning round. Next up, let's go to Sam. Right.
Alrighty. So I finished off South Park, The Fractured Butthole, and, you know, as I talked previously, I loved that game. I loved it to the end. It just kept doing really surprising and fun things with the story, went places I never expected it to go. I kept getting like better and better fart abilities. It was just a blast. I had some time last week when I was feeling down. There was some stuff bugging me. I was having a rough time. I put on South Park, and within a minute, it had me just cracking up. Things that didn't involve farts. They're so funny. I don't know, but it's a great game. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely give it a go. It's a lot of fun, and it can change your mind about things you thought you believed about turn-based combat. Hugh, I'm looking at you. You should give it a try. Excuse me. Oh, my throat's messing up. So then also I played Observer. This is a game that just came out, I think, in August. It's from the people who made Layers of Fear, which I never actually played Layers of Fear, but I heard really good things about it, and I heard really good things about Observer. It's a cyberpunk horror story where you are like a detective investigating some stuff, and you're going to go into people's minds and mess with their dreams. So it sounded pretty cool. I got into it and was playing for probably about 30 or 40 minutes, and I just wasn't really feeling it. There was a lot of just like listening to people talk, and I eventually figured out I could push the circle to kind of like hurry through the conversation, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Let's do this from now on. And then I got to a part where it wouldn't let me do that, and I just sit and listen to this guy talk for like 5 minutes, and he's one of those slow talkers that really like has a hard time getting all of his thoughts put out into words. So I got really frustrated. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle this, but I was going to keep going. But then my game glitched. It just completely froze. And I was like, okay, that's a sign. I'm going to stop. I'm done. So it's an interesting concept. Maybe one day when I'm feeling more patient about things, I might give it a go again. But for right now, I'm putting that one on the back burner. And then in a weird twist of fate, I started playing Life is Strange, the original game, because I've heard you guys talk about Before the Storm, and it sounds really cool, and I want to play it, but I've been told I really need to finish the first one first. So I went back to it. I've finished the second episode now, and I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it, but good God, that game has some serious issues going on. Like, this is not a happy game. There's just horrible stuff happening all over the place. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to finishing that one off and then getting to try out Before the Storm. So, and that's all for my lightning round this week.
Yeah, so. Life is Strange is very good, but it's rather angsty, to say the least. But it is good.
Yes. Oh my God.
It is good. Right then, Kelsey, are you ready to go? Rock and roll.
All right, so I've been playing this 2D platformer called In the Shadows. It's a Montreal-based studio, Color Space, who made the game. Basically, you start the game off, you're a toddler, and the concept of the game is relatively simple. You're going a 2D platformer trying to collect stars, but at the same time, you're trying to push beams of light to destroy shadows. So it's taking on like a childhood fear that I very much still have, a fear of the dark. And
the dark.
am I too young for that reference? Probably. Yeah. Oh, mate. And
you're
then,
too young for most references.
No. That's why I was like, ugh. But it's a really cute game. I haven't completed it yet, but I'm writing a review on it. So once it's done, I'll have more substantial thoughts on it. And then I also played the first 3 chapters of Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh my God, Kelsey, please just no spoilers, okay? I'll have to take my headphones off. Okay.
No, I won't spoil it. But basically, the studio that's in Montreal is the one that's creating the single player narrative. So they had a lot of journalists come in from Montreal to play it. And so I was like really happy to be considered a journalist, And so you play the first 2 chapters. I have to say I'm very impressed. The faults of the game is definitely not because of the gameplay. It's definitely my own lack of experience in first-person shooters. But I would say, like, in terms of the space flying and the TIE fighters and all that, it's definitely improved from the first game. I would say, like, I found it, I did die a lot, but again, it's just like lack of being able to use a controller. But I would say, like, I found it like improved, and I think a lot of people around me, as I looked at them, they did the level quite quicker than I did. So I would say if you found the first game very, like, you got used to it, I think with this one you'll be very used to it. Shooting wise, again, lack of experience, but I think the different types of guns that are there are really interesting. You play as a squad commander, Eden Versio, so the range of weapons. She's so beautiful. I love her so much. The range of weapons that you have is really interesting as well, because like they were explaining this at the studio. A stormtrooper has their one gun, and they wanted to give, as a first-person narrative, more options in terms of her, but also in terms of the weaponry that she provides. Okay, so then I won't talk about.
You're talking about Star Wars. It's fine. The time doesn't matter.
But other than that, so basically, like the beginning of the game is like what you know. They're on Endor, and the Death Star 2 explodes, and so the narrative takes off from there. It's like, what do they do after they realize that the Empire has fallen? And as a squad commander, she sort of has to take initiative on this matter. And we didn't go too far into the story where I learned things that we don't know at all. So basically, it's just establishing her as a leader and where she's gonna go from there as a leader, because the game follows onto her home planet and what the Empire is gonna do from there, since the Death Star has exploded. So it's basically like I only played up until that point, but the graphics are really good. Like the moon, the battle on Endor, the trees, like the setting was insane. Like running through the trees was fantastic. There's debris everywhere. There's still like rebels everywhere, and like playing as someone from the Empire was like a really great experience, because as a character, she's like, well, we're right. The rebels are the assholes, basically. But you, as an audience member of Star Wars, you don't feel the same way. But she really truly believes in the Empire, and what she's doing is right. Because if you were playing as a rebel, you would be killing them, and you killing a rebel feels uneasy. But at the same time, she really believes that it's right, and they need to escape the moon because they've lost. So I found it like a really interesting perspective to play from, and that's what the studio and the developers were telling us at the studio, that it was like they wanted to cross that barrier between good and evil, and like what happens when you're evil but you believe you're doing good, kind of thing. So it was really interesting. It was really fun, and I'm excited to play the rest of the chapters. I know that I'm going to struggle again playing through the first 3 and only get worse from there. But I'm really excited to see primarily where her... That's it.
Kelsey, the more you play, the better you're going to get. So you've got good experience, and you're just going to keep getting better.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell this story.
Industry folk, like, looking over your shoulder, watching you. That's enough to give anybody the heebie-jeebies when it comes to video gaming.
Well, like, if I was going to tell the story when Justin and Bobby were here, but I'll just tell it, okay?
Awesome. Okay.
I'm like a little girl compared to all these people, okay? Like, maybe we were the same age, but I felt like I was a little girl. So I got people there, they're like, hello, salut, je suis Marc de Journal de Montréal. I'm like, oh, hi. And he's like, hi, I'm Andre from the Gazette. I'm like, hi, I'm Kelsey. Hi, what's up? I'm from Girls on Games, what's up? And then we're in the room, and the developer, Mark Thompson, he's like, okay, guys, like, people usually finish these first 3 chapters in like an hour and a half. Like, some of you guys might finish it in like an hour, but like, don't fret, we're giving you 2 hours to play the whole thing. So I was like, wow, 2 hours, okay, perf. I'm definitely like gonna be finished, right? So we're playing, and I don't feel like I'm dying that much. Like, I'm dying, but I feel like it was normal for me, so I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm dying. And I'm looking around, and some people are like at the same spot as me. Like, some people in front were like really far ahead. Like, they were already on the moon. I was like, what the hell? And then when I got to escaping the moon, there's one part where the rebels are just throwing a shit ton of grenades at you. And like, I couldn't see. I'm dying. The screen's white. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking around. Everybody's like, they're already past me. They're like off the moon. I'm like, oh God. So then eventually I look around, and I notice like some people are finished, but some people, they're like ahead of me, but they're not that bad. So I'm like, okay. So I get off the moon, and then we're in the TIE fighters. And I'm like, oh fuck. So you get on the TIE fighter, and while you're like shooting the planes, you also have to watch out for debris. So I'm smashing, I'm dying all kinds. Everyone's like, Eden. And I'm like, yes, I know. Okay, I'm dying a lot. and then I notice once I'm off, I'm in the ship now, and I have a glitch, and I can't figure out why the fuck my droid isn't following me. And I realized that I left him in the room that I just escaped from. And so I call the developer, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Like, he's not coming, and I don't want to go back because I'm already behind. And the dude's like, oh, just like restart the level. And I'm like, no.
Oh.
So I had to restart because it was a glitch. He's like, oh, I think you were the only one that had this glitch. And I'm like, oh, fuck me.
You've basically, like, you might have, like, fixed the game for him by finding that.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You saved it.
Yeah, because it was him. And he's like, oh, shit, this is like a glitch. He's like, this is a glitch we haven't seen before. You were the only one that got this glitch. I'm like, of course. Like, it has to be me. So I restart the level, and I look around, and everybody's done. So I'm like, oh god. But we're still, like, I still have half an hour. I'm like, okay, I still have half an hour. I can fucking do this. I can do this. And of course, I'm dying. Grenades again. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then he comes. And so everybody's, like, waiting. They're all, like, talking. I'm like, staring at the screen. I'm like, I have to beat this. I have to be better. And so he comes, and he's like, Kelsey, we really have to, like, show a video. Like, he's like, I mean, you're like almost at the end, so like if you want to continue, like, that's fine, like, because now at this point I'm at the cutscene, so they're Eden's talking with like her father, so I'm at the cutscene, so I'm like, okay, like, how much time is left? And he's like, like, it's just like one extra scene, like, we could wait for you, no big deal. So the screen loads, and it's a TIE fighter scene again. So I'm like, it's fine, don't worry about it. Anxiety's like riding up. Everybody's waiting for me. I'm like, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. I won't play this part. No worries, it's a TIE fighter scene. I know how it works. No worries. So he's like, okay, thanks. So I look at the thing, and it's like 2 hours 15 minutes. I'm like, oh god, I'm so embarrassing. And so they play the video, and they're telling us like what's coming next, and like the players that we could play next. And so they're like, okay, that's it. Thank you very much for coming, blah, blah, blah. So I get up, and I'm like, I need to leave. I have a midterm. So I'm like running out. And then one of the girls is like, oh, she's like, are you like, okay? Like, did you have fun playing it? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I'm really sorry. It's not that I didn't have fun. I'm like, I'm just terrible at first-person shooters. And she's like, oh, so am I. And I'm like, one of the developers is also bad. So I'm like, I'm fine. She's like, I just really hope you enjoyed it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So then I go in the elevator, and then I'm with all the other reporters, and they're like, Kelsey, did you really enjoy the game? I'm like, yes. I just wanted to run out of the elevator. Like, yeah, it was so embarrassing.
I played it through 4 times. It was good. And I found a glitch.
I got a real sense of the level, you know? I got a real sense.
Yeah, so long story short, that day, Kelsey basically will have made Battlefront 2 a smoother gaming experience for everybody. And
I played the easiest one.
Like,
I know.
I think you.
I know. It was an exam.
You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, you're an official playtester. You're improving Battlefront as we know it. So,
so on the back of that, I'm going to speak about the statement. I forgot the word that is statement just then. And regarding the whole, like, let's find a brouhaha. There we go. The brouhaha regarding
that's accurate.
The hubbub, the hullabaloo. Regarding the pay to win with the loot crates. It's a fairly quick one, so I'll just read it verbatim. So it says, we went to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 with a goal to make the deepest, biggest Star Wars TM game that you've ever played. That meant transporting you to all 3 eras and handing you a huge assortment of heroes, classes, and vehicles, as well as bringing tons of free post-launch content to all Star Wars 2 Battlefront players. The beta gave us a welcome chance to test all of our systems in action and tune in things for a better balance. Thank you, Kelsey Lavati, for finding that glitch during our conference. Oh, I didn't notice that bit before.
It's official. It's in the press release.
Yeah,
Way to go, Kelsey. You have arrived.
A few weeks back, we mentioned we were going to take another look at how the progression system works. After incorporating feedback from the beta, we're happy to share our plans for launch. Epic Star Cards, the highest tier of Star Cards available to launch, have been removed from crates. To help keep everyone on a level playing field, these Star Cards will primarily be available through crafting, with the exception of special Epic Star Cards, available through pre-order, deluxe, and starter packs. So I'll have some of them. You'll need to reach a certain rank to craft upgraded star cards. You will be able to buy a bunch of crates, grind everything up into crafting materials, and immediately use them to get super powerful star cards. You can only upgrade the ability to craft higher tier star cards by ranking up through playing the game. Weapons are locked behind specific milestones. Whilst the select few can be found in crates, the rest can only be attained by play. We want to unlock a new weapon for your heavy. Play as a heavy and you'll gain access to the class's new weapons. Class-specific gear and items can be unlocked by playing as them. As you progress through your favourite class, you'll hit milestones granting you class-specific crates. These will include a mix of star cards and crafting parts to benefit your class's system. This system, as well as all of the others, will be continually iterated on and improved. As we first announced the EA Play in June, we're committed to keeping the community together. All upcoming weapons, maps, heroes, and vehicles introduced in Star Wars Battlefront 2's post-release content will be free so that players can play alongside friends as the world of Star Wars Battlefront 2 continues to grow. Yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, basically, preferably we wouldn't have had to have a bunch of people understandably whinging about how they were going about this. But on the plus side, they've listened. So the worries about the game being play to win that were around a few weeks ago, I don't think we have to worry about anymore. So what are your guys' feelings about it? Sam, what are your thoughts?
So basically, I'm glad that they're doing this, but I'll say what like a mother might say, like I'm not angry about this. I'm just disappointed in them that they even had it happen in the first place. Like what were they thinking,
Yeah.
Really? That's it. But yeah, I mean good that they're fixing it and good that it'll be better in the live game. So yeah.
Kelsey?
I just find this interesting because it's coming on the back of closing an entire studio that was making a single player Star Wars game. And it's like fairly noticeable that they close like a single player based game because multiplayer and loot crates make so much more money. And now they're saying this. And I find it's like kind of a recon, like they're trying to make it seem a bit better, but at the same time, like, I don't know, they have fairly different studios that do different things within EA. So at the same time, like, I don't know if it was done prior to the decision to close. Like, we don't know the whole story. I just find it interesting that it like just comes behind the wave of what everyone was talking about.
It's been a PR shitstorm for EA recently. I mean, I can't imagine the decision to close a studio was done hastily.
Actually, there was an article, I think Cody put it in Discord for us, maybe it was on Kotaku, about that, and it went very in-depth about Visceral and like its history and a lot of the problems it had been having for years before this, and like all of the different things that added up to where it ended up here. And it was very interesting to read that because it's a lot deeper. There's a lot more going on than just they decided they needed a multiplayer. That wasn't the main issue there. So I'll try to find that and put a link. But it was a really interesting article. So
yeah, and I mean I wasn't around for that whole talk, but like my take on it really is I just don't I don't get behind the whole thing of like I don't believe for a second that the prevailing feeling in the gaming community is that people want nothing more than multiplayer gaming. You look at all of the
I agree.
highest selling and highest rated games, like critically this year, and I think the top 10 highest, like on Metacritic, the top 10 highest rated games this year are all single player games. I mean, you look at, Wolfenstein, Mario, Zelda,
Horizon.
exactly. There's like a thirst for good, like single player games. Like you look at GTA, like
I
okay,
agree.
that's got GTA Online, but that game is still in just outside the top 5 in the UK charts. Like still.
Well, it's priced at relatively close to its original price for a reason, because people will still pay that money for a game that has been on the shelves. Like, I don't even know how long. I was still working at Toys R Us when it came out.
It's
Like, I feel like that's more than 4 years at least, at the very least.
probably. I mean, it was when you say, well, it came out before the PlayStation 4 even was released because it was a PS3 game. So, and credit to Rockstar, they're still supporting that game with the online stuff. But I just don't believe the fact that, like, I think to me the rhetoric loosely translates as the money is in multiplayer gaming, with loot boxes and so on and so forth. Like Blizzard must make crazy money every time that you go into an event in Overwatch. Their take-ins must go up stupidly because people will start buying loot crates and stuff like that to try and get the skins. But I guess in a current economic climate, the cost of doing anything at all for any business is a lot higher than it used to be. So there is that. So but I just, them coming out and saying that there's no hunger for single player games to me just comes across as a nonsense. And speaking of damn fine single player games, last week.
Ooh, what a transition!
So I know. Last week saw the release of a video game with a character called Mario in it, going on a bit of an odyssey, in the aptly titled Mario Odyssey. And it's fucking fantastic. Just, this is, for me, like Nintendo at their most confident and assured. Like even, like I said before, I was playing bits of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and those games are fantastic. Like I think the Galaxy games, other than maybe Mario 64, will have been my favorite Mario games, but I think this just, so far anyway, I'm 15 hours into it, and I won't be getting any further for a while, which I'll go into in a bit. The level of creativity, just damn right. Like I said, it's just such a wonderfully fun game to play, and it's just got so much character, so much color. There's just so much variety to it. It just throws things at you, and you're like, "Holy crap! I was not expecting it." Like there's one bit where I won't say exactly what it is, but there's one bit where you go through a door in New Donk City, and all of a sudden you're on a scooter, and you have to get from one end of this corridor to the other, and something's happening while you're doing it. And I was just like, this is fucking awesome. I was not expecting this at all when I walked through this door. And I think this game it contains my moment of the year in video games. There's something that happens in New Donk City that I was just grinning from ear to ear, and I actually had like tears of joy in my eyes because in terms of like the build up to the game and what everybody was talking about, what he was doing, when everybody was like, oh, there's like real looking people in it, and the way that section of the game pays itself off is just absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I'm having a blast with it so far. So Kelsey, how are you getting on with it?
I I love it. I love it so much. I think it was what you said about like when you walked into the door and you were on the scooter. I think that's very telling of like a lot of what this game offers. Like I think there's always a reward for exploring in this game. One specific instance is like when you're in the abandoned island between New Donk City and the lake world, I guess. Um, you're taking like Cappy, you are on like a caterpillar-y kind of character.
Oh, that bit is cool.
And you take control of him, yeah, and he's able to like stretch to different aspects of the game that you might not be able to just as Mario. And it's interesting because I would just go around corners of the mountain of the island and I would find like a secret place. And I think like every time in every world, exploring brings you like you always get rewarded, whether it's a coin, whether it's a life, um the special coins of the world, like you're always being rewarded. And I really appreciate that, like interacting with every aspect, the animals, the non-playable characters, like everything is it shines, like it's so beautiful. I find personally,
and it's just like the touches, like you say, with that creature that you can take over. Like when you stretch them, and like when you squeeze them in and out, they make this like brilliant like accordion sound, and it's just like little things like that.
Exactly,
just, like that attention to detail. You're just like, this is like fantastic.
It's incredible. I think, I don't know, like I every time I open it, like I'm just so excited. Like I think about it all day long. Like even the release day, I was at work and like I couldn't stop thinking about it. I watched Polygon's 6 hour stream because I couldn't. I needed to watch. I needed to see it. And I just think it's like, I think it's my game of the year. I mean, maybe I have to like really like examine everything I've played all year, but I don't think I've had as much fun with any other game than this game. And I think just the new aspects that they've added, the amount of fucking shit in this game, it's crazy. There's so many more worlds than you think. There's so many more things to get. You can't even 100% a level until you like go back to it. I don't know. It's just incredible. I think everything that they've done, the detail is incredible.
There's those random weird like metal looking cubes in every world.
Yes, exactly. I think you would need to finish the entire game and then go back to them, because it's just crazy to me. Like there's just so many things that I think you need to go back and before you can completely 100% everything. And the only game I've ever 100%ed was the Mario Bros 3D World, just so that I could get to the secret world there. I heard about it, I was like, I need to do that. So I'm excited to 100% this, because then I'm wondering, I haven't read anything of this. This is just a theory. I'm wondering if there's like another part. Like even if you go exploring like within the levels after you beat the story part, there's more stuff added because you've saved them. So you could go to different parts of the story that you weren't previously able to go to because you had to follow and get the last moon of that storyline before you could go to the other world. But if you just explore the world that you just saved, there's stuff added right then and there. So I just think it's like I'm shocked every time I look back and I'm like, what the hell? There's so much stuff to do. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Sam.
I mean, I agree. It's a fantastic game, and it does so many neat things. Like I found myself many times just like gasping. I'm like, oh, when I see something new and exciting, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I can't believe they did that. And there's like everybody's all excited about, you get to take over the T-Rex and do stuff. And that's cool. But then like I got really excited because like I took over a rock and all of a sudden I was this rock and I was moving and I'm like, what? Who even thinks of that? That's crazy. So I'm having fun. I just got to, I think, the Metro land. So I'm not too far yet. Um, I kind of have always had a problem and still have a problem with 3D Mario games. Just something about it. I just have a lot of trouble. I don't understand why. But like if I didn't have Cappy where I could fight enemies with that, like I would have such a hard time if I was relying on just jumping on enemies because like I just can't do it. It's so horrible. I don't understand why my depth perception is off in these games, but it's so bad. But overall, I'm having a good time. It's not, I'm pretty sure I'm not loving it as much as everybody else is, but I'm definitely enjoying it and having a good time. So,
who's your favorite, like, where you that you can capture? Like, who's your favorite one? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I don't know that I really have a favorite yet. I mean, I just,
Your favorite should have already came. It's
well,
Uproot with the
it's a
long
what?
legs.
The
The
long
one
leg
with the
guy?
long leg.
The guy that
I
grows
love
his legs? He's
him. I
fun.
love him.
But like also like I was just in the water world and I got to be a fish and like there's kind of like a fun when you
Yeah, I
come
like that
out of
too.
the
Yeah.
water with the
Yeah.
fish and he's just kind of like flopping along on the ground because he's not in water anymore. I mean that guy's kind of fun too. So I don't know. I mean there's a lot and I mean there's probably my favorite I haven't even met yet. I don't even know. So
I think the one I've enjoyed so far purely just because it looks hilarious when you take them over, and because they're wearing they have sunglasses on their head, and you
oh
can make them drop down.
yes.
So you
Oh
can
my
see
god,
some
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Easter
yeah.
Island head-looking dudes. So funny
Yes.
seeing them with like a
Yes.
mustache and a cap on and sunglasses. Like you say, Sam. Like you just think, what must the people at Nintendo be fucking on when they're coming up with this stuff? Because it's just bonkers. But
Yes.
it's just so like it's just an absolute like delight to play. But I know what you mean about the like jumping on enemies, Sam. It's not easy to like gauge like the depth of where
Yeah.
you are. Like some parts, um, like there are those parts which end up being like full on like 2D Mario. They go back. It looks like
Yeah.
8-bit bits. But there's some bits where like if you're up against a flat wall and it's still in the 3D thing, um, sometimes it is surprisingly easy if you're sort of like climbing up blocks on this wall to like inadvertently like come away from it, and you can
Yeah.
like a couple of times I've done it and like ended up falling. But one thing I will say for it is it does a great job of, I think Nintendo have basically just gone, yeah, we're not gonna like ever have you risk being in like a game over state in this. You
Oh
know
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gonna die. You'll lose 10 coins, but you're gonna be carrying a couple of thousand of them. So whatever, really. And
And that's pretty amazing. That is fantastic right there. Because then you never have to worry. You get to enjoy it and just have fun.
yeah, and plus because the nature of what it is, like it does challenge your ability as a gamer in terms of like being able to judge jumps. Like it's a platform game in its essence. So the fact that they've just gone, yeah, just keep trying, like it's fine. Like platform games, if you've got like 5 lives and you're having trouble judging something and you're on like your last life, it can get incredibly frustrating, which can make it even harder for you to play it. Whereas this, like the amount of times I've attempted jumps and just ended up falling down a hole and just gone, whatever, I think I can make it, I'll try again. So I really like that about it. It's like they've done a good job of like, and I think that makes it a lot more friendly for like younger players as well, which is good because, like I said, it is a challenging game, and some of the like stuff that you do in a boss fight is awesome. Like there's one you face like Bowser fairly early on, and the way that you fight him is absolutely like visually, it's hilarious, and it's just so
his hair.
yeah, the way it like
That
flips
scene?
around, like he's just like
Ooh, baby.
yeah. He looks like
Oh
a
my.
bit of a cad, doesn't he, in his white suit? But yeah, so far I'm absolutely loving it. But I'm about 15 hours into it. But the problem is my fucking Switch has died. I got about 15 hours into it. I was having issues with my Switch not connecting to my Wi-Fi. So long story short, I thought I'd fixed it by depleting battery, turning it off and on again. Put some charge in it, and it started doing it again. So I was like, screw it, I'll just reboot it, see if that fixes it again. Did a hard reset on it, and now it won't load past the Switch logo that appears on the screen on boot. So I've had to, thankfully I bought it from where I work, and the company I work for gives 2-year guarantees on electrical goods, but it's had to be sent off to be looked at, to be repaired. So I'm looking at not having a Switch for about 2 weeks. So most people are probably going to finish it whilst I'm sat twiddling my thumbs, crying because I can't play it. So hey ho.
Hugh, I'm so sorry for you.
It's just like, damn you. Damn you, universe. Why do you hate me so? But hey ho. Them's the breaks. I haven't had a console die on me since my Xbox 360, so I've had a fairly good run of things, to be fair. So, right, moving on. So, earlier this week, we had Sony's conference from Paris Game Week, and they've been teasing it for quite a while, to be honest. I think at E3 they were like, this is part 1 of our big announcement thing of the year, and Paris will be part
E3 Part 2.
And to be fair, it was pretty good. I'll go through quickly the games that were announced. Sucker Punch are developing what looks like a samurai action game called Ghost of Tsushima, with a silent T. And yeah, just we don't know much about it. It just says the player will play as a samurai in 1274 on the Japanese island of Tsushima, and there was no real gameplay, but the trailer looked awesome. I think we can all agree on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a very sort of lifelike looking game. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like. I like the Sucker Punch games. Like I do like the Infamous games, so I'll be looking forward to that. There was also a cool game, or cool looking game. Kind of reminded me a bit of Okami, called Concrete Genie, where you've got this kid who he looks like a bit of a social outcast, and he's an artist, and he can, like, basically his paintings come to life, and it says like his goal is basically just to brighten his city by painting beautiful landscapes and funny creatures. So that one I'm very interested in. This one I want a bit more. I'd love to like have some more information on this. There's a game called Erica that they announced, which is a new PlayLink game, which looks
that looked cool. Yeah,
it's like a FMV game, and it looks kind of like a sort of choose your own adventure type deal. Yeah, it says it's a narrative game which will have to choose your destiny as you would in a Quantic Dream production. Playable with the PlayLink application, you will have to switch between screens from your smartphone to your TV. So I don't know whether that just means it's single player and you use both devices, or whether you'll be able to play with your friends. I thought the whole thing behind PlayLink was, it being involved with other people and so on and so forth. Whole host of stuff for VR announced. Ace Combat 7, the DLC for Resident Evil 7, The Not a Hero thing will be playable entirely in VR. So that'll be cool. And it looks quite a bit more. So it looks like a bit of a departure from like the sort of feeling of the main game. It looks a bit more actiony. So
yeah, it looks like it's going back a little bit more to like Resident Evil 4 or 5, where you're a special agent type guy with lots of guns.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, fleshy ones and metal ones. Yeah, there's a load of VR games. One called Rec Room, Moss, Apex Contracts, Bout of Blood, League of War VR Arena. There's Final Fantasy 15 is getting a VR fishing game. Fishing games seem to be...
guys, I love fishing games, like in video games, because I love the idea of fishing. I love like throwing and then like reeling stuff in, but I hate like actual fishing because like I don't want to catch a fish. So fishing video games, that's like A+ right there.
Yeah, it looks completely ridiculous. Like when you catch a fish, is like just like this really sort of like dramatic, like badoosh, and it's just like. Yeah.
Well, they're like monster fish-looking creatures. They're like not just your everyday fish. So,
yeah. Like you're catching like a friggin' conger eel or something. There was a trailer for the Far Cry 5 co-op, and I'm not much of a fan of the Far Cry games. Like they're good games, but they don't really do much for me. But that looks cool. Did either of you guys see the trailer for that? I think it might.
Apparently, I missed that one.
I don't know whether it's like 2-player or up to 4, but it looks like fun. It's just like quad bikes and planes and crazy shit you can do. So it looks like, as far as like sandbox co-op stuff, it looks quite fun. They announced the first expansion for Destiny 2, which will be called Curse of Osiris.
Yep.
And apparently Osiris is kind of like this legendary guardian who's been long thought dead. And it looks like he reappears, so there'll be a new raid. Apparently there's an exclusive map for PlayStation
Cool.
in it for Crucible. And talking of exclusive stuff, I think they announced the first expansion for COD World War II as well. Which will be available for PlayStation 4 users 30 days before Xbox One. And they also had a trailer for Monster Hunter World. And I'll let Sam talk about this one.
Guys, okay, let me take you back a little bit to when I first heard about Monster Hunter World. And it looked really cool because you're just, you're a person with various weapons. You can be different characters, different kinds of weapons, and you're hunting these gigantic monsters. Like some of them are dinosaurs. Maybe there's even dragons. I don't know. It looks fantastic. I saw this trailer probably at E3, I think. And what I thought at the time was, oh my God, this would be just like Horizon Zero Dawn, but with actual dinosaurs and monsters, not robotic ones. And it looked really cool. Then later, I found out there's going to be co-op in it, so you can go hunt monsters with your friends. So then I got even more excited, okay? And then this last trailer that came out, they're showing monsters, big weapons. It's great. It's fine. It's what you expect. You get to the end, and it shows Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. So if you're playing this on PlayStation, you can play as Aloy in Monster Hunter World. And that just blew my mind. Hugh told me about this, and I was like, wait, are you kidding? Is it someone that looks like Aloy, or is it actually Aloy? And he's like, no, it's actually Aloy. So this is going to be fantastic, you guys. I mean, she hunts robot dinosaurs, now she hunts real dinosaurs. It's just going to be the greatest, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
And also, the Horizon DLC comes out next Tuesday, November
Oh
7th.
yeah.
And I also can't wait for that.
Yeah, some of the
So,
new monsters in
all
that
Aloy
trailer.
all the time.
Some of the new monsters in that trailer look crazy. I'll openly admit that whilst I was watching this conference, I was basically being the worst of humanity because I was walking home from work and watching it on YouTube on my phone, and I walked through quite a few people. But you know, video games, they should have got out of the way. They should have understood what was happening. Um, Apologies to those
So, you owe
people.
the whole city of Cardiff an apology.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I felt terrible, but it didn't stop me from watching it. To be honest, there was another trailer for Star Wars Battlefront 2, which didn't really show anything new, but whatever. It gave us a few shots of Janina Gavankar as Iden Versio, which is fine by me. Absolutely fine by me.
And guys, in that trailer, it shows her putting this helmet on. And it is like the world's biggest helmet. It looks so big on her. I'm like, what? How does she even like hold her head up with that?
I think it's got a droid.
Everybody's saying this, but like in the game, no, the droid's on her back. In the game, it doesn't look that bad.
Okay.
Like, it's also because she's not wearing like a stormtrooper uniform.
Okay.
She just has the helmet on, but like her uniform is like a race car driver. It's very like skin tight.
Okay.
And so it makes it look more ridiculous. But like in the game, I didn't notice this. So I don't think it's as big. Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
So like I'm hoping, because everybody's making this comment. I'm like, but I don't remember the game being like that. Looks like she's, so I don't think it was that bad.
Wearing a stormtrooper helmet while she's wearing pajamas as her outfit or something. They showed a new trailer for the Spider-Man game, Insomniac Spider-Man game. Really good. It sort of switched.
Oh, and on.
Go on, Sam.
Yeah, on that one, I was really surprised that there's just this scene where Peter's like, "Oh, hey, Miles, right here." Like Miles is just hanging out with Peter Parker. I'm like, wow, he's gonna be like a much bigger part, not just a little throwaway. So that's pretty exciting.
And it doesn't look like a young Miles either.
Yeah.
Like Peter looks like an older Peter, like late 20s sort of Peter, and Miles looks like sort of mid to late teens. So I'm really, really interested. They've also said that Mary Jane is going to be playable for part of it, which is going to be interesting.
That's cool.
So I'll be very, very interested to see what that entails. But yeah, look good. It was a very sort of like a more Peter Parker focused trailer than the previous ones, which is it's good. It's nice to know that it's not just going to be, because Spider-Man isn't just the heart of Spidey is Peter Parker. So for me, that's a cool one. There was a trailer for Detroit Become Human, which was quite uncomfortable.
Can I talk about it?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did play a demo of Detroit Become Human at Comic-Con this summer, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. The part of the game that it was showing, this is like known, it's just it was the first part of the game. Basically, it's that one of the AIs goes haywire, and he wants to kidnap the child and leave, and so it's up to the AI detective to go and solve like what happened, and if the more you figure out, the more knowledge you have to help the AI like drop the kid and like come and be arrested. So, but the police officers don't like you, so it's sort of like, do you want to help them? Do you not? And then like, how much do you integrate yourself into the crime scene and like try to see what went on? And so I found that aspect to be really interesting. However, when I was watching this trailer, I felt very uneasy because it was like, oh, like it could just be solved by the decisions you make. And so like, while I didn't get that aspect while playing it, this specific situation made me very uncomfortable. And I found myself like, kind of like, oh, like, is it right to like have all these situations be solved so easily, in quotation marks? You know what I mean? So I was kind of like a little bit uncomfortable with the trailer.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, well, it's interesting that you can make these choices and change things, but then I was like, it seems like this section could just go very quickly. Like if you just made the right
Hmm.
choice right away, like I don't know. And I was like, I didn't understand how big of a part of a game that was or how it fits into the bigger narrative. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think how
Yeah.
given the subject matter of it, I think the writing in that section is going to be vital because of this. Like I said, the subject matter of
Yeah,
it.
it has to be subpar.
If it ends up being like a throwaway, like the sort of antagonist in that scene, just you can kind of like talk around or whatever, and it just ends up being not a thing. I think it could end up like diluting the subject matter that they're trying to address. So I think it'll be interesting to see
Hmm.
how that one plays out. And then they ended the show with what wasn't really a surprise, but I still freaked out when it revealed itself to be a Last of Us Part 2 trailer. And Jesus Christ, was that brutal. Like, damn. I was like talking about me walking home. People must have been looking at me a bit weird because I was just cringing while I was walking along. Um, Still doesn't give much away in terms of the story, but it definitely shows that we're gonna be um, involved with new characters in The Last of Us Part 2. Um, but like I said, it's grim. Like it's like they're dragging a lady along, um, and just two dudes dragging her along, and they put a noose around her neck, and she's like standing on a bucket on her tiptoes to stop herself from dropping and choking to death. Somebody else comes along and they pin her down and smash her arm up with a hammer. Um, so it's very happy-go-lucky. Um, but yeah, but it did kind of like The Last of Us is a brutal game and it's a brutal story, so it's not out of context. So like it made me cringe, but I wasn't like uncomfortable with it. I wasn't like, "Oh, this is gratuitous." I'm sure once we know what the context is, it'll make sense. But there was an article that Sam noticed and put in our document that was quite interesting. So speak to us about that, Sam.
yeah, so it was a Polygon article, and they were talking about how, like, I guess video game trailers are having a trend right now where they like kind of sensationalize violence against women, and they just like put stuff in there without any context just to try to get thrills and like sell video games, and that it's, I guess, offensive to women to be represented that way. Um, and so I found it, excuse me, I found it pretty interesting to read that because like when I watched the trailer, like I didn't get that from it at all. Like what I saw was like, yeah, there's violence. These women are getting attacked, but then what I saw was these women being empowered and just like fighting back and kicking ass and being total badasses. And like that made me want to play this game because I want to play as one of those girls that's just total badass. And I don't think I really understood what was happening because like I said, I never finished The Last of Us, the first one. So I saw the blonde girl that was being hanged, and I was like, oh, that must be Ellie. That must be the main character. If this whole game is me getting to play as her, I'm in. I'm in right now. I want to play this game. So I mean, I can kind of see where they're coming from. That just like putting lots of violence in there is without any explanation of where it's coming from or why it's happening could offend people. But like I just saw it a completely different way. So I don't know. What did you guys think of that trailer?
Go on, Kelsey. Did you not watch
Okay.
it?
Yeah, no. I watched it. I just wasn't sure who was talking first. Um, So basically, I watched the trailer after I saw all these, like, this article surface and like a lot of commentary on the fact that there was a lot of violence, and I went into it watching with that point of view. But I just find it interesting that it was more like that they were, because I agree with you, Sam. Like, I think it's sick that the two characters who seem like, if not playable, main characters to the story,
Mhm.
and how they kind of like just kick ass in that whole entire scene, and then also the woman inflicting damage seems to be the leader of this, whatever this is.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically within this 2 minute cut, we have three essentially strong women, and then two henchmen, and then one, I'm assuming, brother or
Mhm.
friend who knows the character who got hurt. But that character got hurt badly. She got her elbow knocked in. She gets up and she seems to be like ready to fight regardless. Um, and again, it's taken out of context, so we don't really know what's happening. Like, even the woman in charge, like, she puts the knife against the stomach and she's like, oh, we're not having any more of these. And it's sort of like, okay, so clearly something's very important is happening here in terms of a woman's body, because what I assume is there's something inside of her and we don't know what it could be. A human, I don't know what they're talking about. But like, and so there's this moment where a woman's body is being deemed relatively important. They're going to kill her because they don't want whatever she's breeded to come out into the world. And then we're sort of focusing on like what I assume is like a minor side character's like arm being um, smashed in. And I think it's like, if it wasn't a girl and it was a guy, were people going to say, oh, well, the only girl there is like the one that's being hanged who's pregnant, obviously, and then everybody else is a man. And so I think it's like they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think people were just uneasy because of like the allegations that happened at Naughty Dog, and I think it's a lot of uneasiness for the company right now, and also like a tiredness of like, it's like, okay, we get it, the humans are the bad guys, we understand they're the evil ones. And so I got that aspect. Like, I was more like, oh, it's violent, and it's like they could show us something else, I find, that would have been like a little bit of a teaser, like maybe not have gone to violence at that point, because like we get it, the people who are going to play The Last of Us 2 have already played The Last of Us, so like we get it,
Not
we
all
know.
of them, just FYI. Not all.
But like, you know that it's graphic, and you know that it's about the monstrosity of humans, essentially. So it's kind of like, okay, like, I know it's gonna be graphic. Like, the first trailer was like, she was playing a guitar, like, it was so cute. Like, just give us something. I don't know, like, we know we're in a world where it is evil. So I just, that was more the part that I was uncomfortable with. I didn't find, like, I was more tired of the violent narrative. It's like, we get it, we get the point. I think I didn't see the mishandling, I guess, of like a female character as like something to be negative about. Like, I understand where this article's coming from, but I just think like, had they not included a woman, would you have commented on that, especially after the allegations that have come out for Naughty Dog? So I'm sort of like, kind of like expecting a violent game, but I'm not expecting. I didn't feel like they were using women in that way to sell the violent game. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it as sort of sensationalizing or trivializing sort of violence towards women. Like you say, it was like the scene was predominantly, for me, one woman instigating violence against two other women and them fighting back against her, and the antagonist in the scene basically getting her comeuppance in that she ends up with the claw side of a hammer sticking out of her forehead. So yeah, I didn't. I mean, I can understand it. Like, it is like, it's gratuitously violent, and when you put violence on screen like that without context, that is what makes it gratuitous. So
Yeah, exactly.
But knowing Naughty Dog's reputation for storytelling, there's going to be a reason behind it. But it was an odd choice. Like, I mean, we're a year down the line from that original trailer coming out, and then
Yeah.
they give us
Yeah.
this. But we still don't know how far away we are from getting this game, and we could be looking at another 18 months to 2 years away from getting this game anyway. Because I think when they showed the first trailer, this was just kind of like, yeah, we're developing this game. I don't think they're like, 3/4 of the way through developing this game. It's not like they're looking at like giving it to us for Christmas next year or whatever. I think we're looking at sort of 18 months at least. So yeah, it was, I think, just to me as a choice of what they're giving us, it was odd, but for people who have played the first game, I think it's, it brings up a lot of interesting talking points. Like, who are these people? They're obviously from like rival factions / tribes, whatever you want to call them. The whole thing, like you say, Kelsey, with her putting a knife against the woman's belly is interesting to me, because there's a lot of the first game was about the whole thing with the virus and whether people can and should be procreating, and sort of whether Ellie could be the savior of humanity because she might have the cure inside her. So yeah, I mean, I think the thing that made me uncomfortable really was just the fact that it was out of context. Like, violence like that doesn't bother me, and I didn't see it as being tonally inappropriate in terms of how it represented sort of violence towards a subset of people. But yeah, it was just strange having like, here's some extreme violence, The Last of Us 2, and you were like, okay, right. But yeah, it was just a strange choice of scene to show, I suppose, more than anything. But I guess in defense of the person who wrote that article, I can understand why they could see that. But I think picking on this specifically to write that about is a bit sort of ill-timed, I guess. Like, the wrong target for that article for me. So in other news this week, this is kind of like out of the blue and quite cool as well. In terms of like a video game making a statement. Basically the biggest, I think it's the biggest selling anyway. I haven't played a football management sim for years. Football Manager, the next iteration of it, Football Manager 2018, players will come out as homosexual. So the what's the name of the guy? It doesn't really name any, but there's a quote from one of the developers, and it says, part of the reason we decided to do this because there are gay footballers. Miles Jacobson, the game's director. And he says, even if those players have not made their sexual orientation public, we know from the volume of professionals that there has to be players who are gay, but they feel they don't want to come out. So the only players in the game that will come out as homosexual are fictional players in the game. So as with all football management sims, you'll get like the real life players, but as the game progresses and sort of it needs to create, new youngsters in the game, as their career progresses, they will come out as homosexual. And I think it's a really good message to send, because it's still like, being a football fan myself and going to football matches, there is still a lot of homophobia in football, and not just football, in sport in general. And for a game of that type, which a lot of like people who are big football fans, for them to do that, it's a big step, and it's going to piss people off, which personally I think great. Like, if that offends you, then you really need to sort of wake the fuck up. But also, I think for any professional sports people who are currently active and sort of afraid to come out, I think it's nice for them to sort of be able to look somewhere and think, okay, there are people out there who aren't bothered by the fact that we're homosexual and sports people. So yeah, I just think it's a really, really cool, like when you think about it, it shouldn't be something like it should just be like a game feature that people go, cool, okay, there's going to be gay players. But for this to be happening, it's a big statement. So how do you guys feel about it, Kelsey?
I definitely agree. Like, there is a problem with accepting different things in sports. I wouldn't overgeneralize it, but I think a lot of people who are passionate about sports perpetuate like the bro ness of sports. And I think that by including this, yeah, it'll make a lot of people angry. But I'm sort of optimistic. Like, I feel like this will make people who play sports, who are passionate about sports, like, one, come out if they so choose, like if they feel that way, or two, that people who might not experience it a lot in sports, be it when they play, when they watch, can also like become more accustomed to this fact and be more open and accepting. Like, that's an optimistic feel. I do think a lot of people will be angry. I think a lot of people will say like, "Oh, it's coming during a time when the rise of all this political nonsense kind of idea." But I think it'll have a positive effect. That's the way I see it, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
Yeah, I agree mostly with what you guys have been saying. This just makes me happy because Hugh, like you said, this is something that it shouldn't even be an issue that's called out. It should just be something that's there and it's normal and it's fine. And just the fact that they're doing this is a step towards making that happen, making that a reality where this is normal. Somebody's got to make that step. And it sounds really cheesy, but this is like a little thing that's making the world a better place, just putting it out there and letting it be part of what's normal in a game. So I really like it, and I'm really glad that it's happening. And also, just for the record, let's just go ahead and state this. Football Manager, we're talking about what us Americans call soccer. We're not talking about that American football NFL. I did have to Google it because I wasn't sure. So let's just clear that out.
Yeah, I mean, it is a niche thing. I mean, back in the day, there was this whole thing where it did used to be called, and I think Championship Manager still exists, but there was this whole thing where the developers of Championship Manager, which years ago was the biggest football management sim, basically broke ranks and went off and started Football Manager. So yeah, I mean, like I said, as someone who is a football fan, goes to football matches, like, thankfully, going to watch Cardiff City and Wales, very rarely I've heard any like homophobic abuse aimed at players or anything, which is great. But I mean, the BBC have made numerous documentaries where there's, some clubs are known for having like homophobic chants and stuff like that. So this is just another step in. I know video game to real life, it's not the same thing, but football fans will look at this and, you know, it has been like, there was a few years ago, there was an occasion where one of the shitty UK tabloids, owned by billionaire tyrant Rupert Murdoch, apparently had information about a Premier League football player and the fact that they were homosexual. And they were on the verge of like naming them, and it was like, thankfully there was a public outcry. People were like, no fucking way are you doing this, and they backed down from it. So, and there's, you know, there was a German player called Thomas Hitzelsperger who used to play in England, who retired a few years ago, and not long after he retired, he came out as gay. And I think there was an American player as well who used to play for LA Galaxy. He retired and then came out, and I think then came out of retirement and started playing again. So, you know, there's precedents there for like openly gay players out there. But, you know, it's just one of those little baby steps in the right direction, which is welcome. So one last little bit of news. We will basically appease Kelsey by talking about Animal Crossing Mobile. Look at her face light up.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have a lot of things to say. Basically, I'll just talk about, like, I'll just read what it's about. So basically, Animal Crossing's first mobile game, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, will launch in late November. They announced this during their direct presentation about the project, and the pre-registration for the game is available. But the game itself is available in Australia, and so a lot of people have been like finding ways to do it. I'm too lazy, so I'm just gonna wait. In Pocket Camp, players manage their own campsite. They can personalize and build up both their character and their campsite, which they decorate with a variety of buildings and furniture. Furniture can be crafted through collectibles. The system works by visiting nearby recreation sites, doing favors for the animal inhabitants, and collecting rewards. After that, players head over to the alpaca blacksmith Cyrus with their new crafting materials to create furniture. Different animals have different furniture prices, blah, 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 preferences. And if you increase players' friendship level with them, you get other features, and it entices more of the animals to come to the site. And I am so excited. I have just one problem. I wish it was on the Switch. Mm-hmm. I'm really upset that it's on mobile, because it's just another thing that takes up space on my phone and drains my battery. And obviously I'm still getting it because I love Animal Crossing, but like, I'm annoyed. I wish it was on the Switch. I think it would have been a nice opportunity. I mean, I understand why they don't want to do it, because like, they're riding on Mario right now, and we're all on the Mario train, and I get it. But I feel like I would have rather had it on the Switch. Like, the Switch is still portable. It's like my phone at this point. Like, I could bring it anywhere. I could play it anywhere. It doesn't need to be attached to my TV. So why not put the game on there? I understand, like, it's free now, but like, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm still getting it, but I wish it was on the Switch, basically, is my only complaint on the matter.
It's going to be interesting to see how it goes with this, because apparently Nintendo came out the other day saying that even though Super Mario Run hasn't been a flop by any means, it's making decent money, but I don't think they're really regarding it as a success as such. So I'm thinking, if they're like, Mario is Nintendo's marquee title, really. So if a game with Mario in it can't be successful on mobile, then I'm a bit concerned as to how Animal Crossing will do. I mean, I guess it'll attract
But
more kids.
I think like
but
Mario Run, they were, taking what they had and trying to make it fit in a mobile game. But if they took something that had a better mobile fit to begin with, I think it would stand a much better chance of doing better.
I just feel like like especially with in terms of Mario Run, and I feel like this game as well. Like people want to play Nintendo games on the Nintendo console. Like I know Lara Croft Go
Yeah.
and DSX Go,
Uh-huh.
they did relatively well mobilely, but they were excellent games. I think these Nintendo games, Mario Run included, they're so similar to what you've played already. Like Mario Run was like a platformer, right? Animal Crossing is very similar to the town, the village that you have already in the previous games. I just think like they work better as Nintendo games on a Nintendo console because that's what we're accustomed to seeing. And I find like I'm more likely to give up a game on my phone than a game on a console. I don't know. That's how I feel personally.
yeah, and I don't know. I just think like I don't know whether they're looking at like Pokemon Go and the success that that's been, and sort of overestimating how well other things can do, because I think Pokemon's a bit of a unique entity in that the fact that A, it had the nostalgia factor, B, what they did with it was very clever in making it sort of like
That's
you
it,
go
exactly.
out and collect these things, so you're doing something unique and new with that existing property. Whereas, like you say, Mario is literally just a 2D Mario game where you're just tapping the screen to make him jump, as opposed to control, like having complete control of him. So it'll be interesting to see how the mobile side of Nintendo goes from here. Like, I don't know whether maybe if Animal Crossing doesn't do well as they hope, whether they'll just knock it on the head and just call it quits. But also, to that matter, it's also going to be a very interesting time to see, now that Mario's out, where exactly Nintendo are going to go with the Switch. Because looking forward now, other than third-party games, I think Nintendo are looking a little bit light. So, I think it's...
Well, they have Pokemon,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's the game that was on the 3DS that's just
But having...
reimagined.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't want the Switch to be another Wii in the fact that it, like, just burns so brightly, like, from the start of its lifespan, and then just falls flat on its face, like, afterwards. Like, my confidence in Nintendo has risen this year, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they're gonna sort of, have a give us a second good year with the Switch and prove to us that they're definitely, without a shadow of a doubt,
Yeah.
on it properly. Right, so we'll finish up quickly with a listener question. This one's from James Snyder, and he says, "Hey guys, James here. Love the podcast and videos on YouTube. Thank you, James. I have a question, I guess more for you and Kelsey. That's me and you, Kelsey. In the sports games world, when you pick a team to play a season with, do you choose the team you actually follow, or choose a team by its stats to do better? Personally, I like picking teams with worse stats, building them up to be a good team. Fortunately, I like Swansea City FC and the Buffalo Bills, so I can choose the teams I follow in real life because they are both usually terrible." Firstly, James, you are correct. Swansea City FC is the devil. Being a Cardiff City fan, I'm obliged to point that out to you, seeing as how they are our arch rivals. So I'll just go with that. That being said, they're in the Premier League and we're not, so I don't have much of a leg to stand on there. Kelsey, how do you go when you play sports games?
I always go for the team I root for all the time. I played Madden and I've played NHL, so I've only played hockey and football games. Um, but and mostly hockey. Like that's where I'm just gonna focus on for this question. I always play the Boston Bruins. I don't know if it's because everybody I know picks the Habs, but I grown up with this rivalry, so I always try to pick the Bruins and like build them up and really try to like in my own fictional world like kick everybody's ass because everybody always shits on me. Um, but sometimes if I want to create a team, I pick my favorite players. Not always Bruins. I tend to pick, I guess, the better players, but I do like the better players more. Um, but yeah, often it's teams I like. So for Madden, it was like the Packers, the Patriots. They're often the better. Well, not the Packers. I'm saying the Patriots are often the better stats. But that's how I go with it. I find I'm very lazy in terms of like creating teams and stuff like that. So I always pick a team that's often already made and that I already enjoy watching.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, I do usually pick Cardiff City, but it's a bit of a funny thing with football games because FIFA, you pick Cardiff City, you get a new player career, you get like the proper squad. Whereas in PES, you can, if you start the Master League, you can either play with the proper squad or you can choose to play with the Master League squad. So you just get like a group of poor players, and it's your task then to try and win games with these players, sign new ones, and improve the team. But regardless of whether you've got the real players or not with Cardiff City, I mean, if you have, then you need to sign new players to make them better anyway, because they're not very good. But I just find it more fun if I am playing FIFA, playing as Cardiff City, because they're in like the division below the Premier League, so there's a lot more reward in playing as them. Like you could play, you sign new players, you can get promoted into the Premier League, and just creating a team where you can win, not just like the division you're in, but then get up into the Premier League, win the Premier League with them, get into other competitions, and go from there is really rewarding. But what I do really enjoy in PES is starting off with just like the weird, random, just like made up shitty players, and just building a complete team from scratch, like just getting rid of the rubbish players as and when you can, and you can just tailor make your own team. So like I've got my PES series Talking Games FC on our YouTube channel, and basically I'm sort of nearing the first transfer window in that. So I've signed a few players for my Master League team, but right now it's mostly made up of fairly poor players. But then once the transfer window comes around, I'll hopefully get to sign some. And it just becomes really rewarding because you're building something for yourself and making it good, as opposed to just being like, I know I'll go Manchester United and I'll have a team full of great players and win stuff easily. So I guess for me, it's just about the sort of reward of the game, really. I just don't see where the reward lies in playing as good teams just to make life easy for you, to be honest. And that's what I gotta say about that. So, right, before we go, it's Extra Life this weekend. I think currently, in terms of people who will be streaming, in terms of regular Talking Games podcast co-hosts, I think it'll just be myself. Melissa Megan from Talking Comics will be playing as well. Unsure as yet as to whether she'll be streaming. I imagine she probably will be.
Uh, yeah, she's gonna try to stream. I talked to her. She's planning to start Saturday around 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Cool. So I'll be streaming most likely through the Talking Games Twitch. It's not really convenient for me to do a full 24-hour stream without stopping, so what I'm going to do is stream for a good chunk of time on Saturday and then stream for a good chunk of time on Sunday and hopefully get as close to 24 hours over the 2 days as I can. Basically because I'm too tired right now to do 24 hours. I'll just... The other year when we did the raid... cranky, tired Hugh came out, and it wasn't pretty, and nobody needs that. Although it was amusing.
Hugh, what time do you think that you're going to start streaming?
I'll probably start. Probably around sort of mid-afternoon my time, so sort of like 2-3 p.m. So probably, I imagine it'll be late morning Eastern, sort of 11-12 Eastern. So I'll start around then, and I'll just go until I'm too tired to carry on, really. I'll take a break to eat, and that's it. But yeah, hopefully I'll be joined by Megs, who is taking part as well. So I'm sure we could just link up, play some Destiny or something. But one thing I'm hoping to do is I did start playing Hellblade earlier in the week, but I only played it for about half an hour, and I suddenly thought to myself, I'll leave it here, and I'm going to try and play through all of it in its entirety for Extra Life on the weekend. So I know Mara Wood will be taking part as well, but she doesn't have a facility to stream. So yeah, so basically we'll be tweeting out sort of more sort of firm plans later in the week, what we'll be playing, when, who with, and we'll just go from there. So if you can find it in your heart to donate to us, it's for a very good cause. It basically all goes to Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and basically just any penny counts. Like, it's $1, if it's £1, if it's 50p, it all helps. It just, the fact that you donated at all would be amazing. So like I said, I'll be organising things a bit more with a bit more firm plans later in the week, and we'll let you know via Twitter and so on and so forth about what we're gonna do. We've lost Sam, but she informs me that Megs is gonna start streaming around 9 p.m. on Eastern Friday, so that'll be sort of early morning for her over in the land of Oz. So I think that wraps it up for this week. So it's just going to be me and Kelsey to end the show. We finally got rid of Sam, Kelsey. It's just us.
Sam wants me to... She wants me to give her apologies, though.
Oh,
she's sorry. Her internet's dead.
We miss you already, Sam. But, yeah. It's typical. Just as we end the show, her internet dies. But, hey-ho. We send you love, Sam. So yes, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/talkinggamesvideos. Tons of stuff. You've got Sam's videos, Lady's Choice. She does videos with Cody. You've got my PES 2018 videos. There's all sorts there, so go and check that out. Find us on Twitch, which is handy for Extra Life, at twitch.tv/talkinggames. You can email us at games@talkingcomicbooks.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/talkinggamespc. And we are on Twitter at talking_games. So that's it. My Twitter handle is at h_paz. Kelsey.
It's Kelsamus, KELSSAMUS, and I'll give Sam's. It's at SKSUVAK.
Brilliant. And you can follow Bobby at Bobby Shortle. Justin is Joroak, JOROAK. Matt is at Johnny Matt Wood. And that's everyone. I think if I've forgotten anyone, then
Yep.
whatever. They're obviously not that important. So thank you for joining us, folks. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Hugh.
And thank you to Sam. God rest her soul. We'll be back next week. Until next time, be good to one another. Typical. Just as we get to the end of the show. Poor Sam. Right.
My internet does that too sometimes. Like, I'm so happy it never happens.
Mine has this weird thing where sometimes when I first load my PC up, it just goes, nope, don't want to. And then like I have to switch off the Ethernet port and turn it back on again to get it to work. But thankfully, once it's working, it's working. So, there it is. Oh shit! I need to load up Dropbox. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if there. Hopefully, there's space in it.
There should be, I would imagine. Hang on, I'll open it now. Mine hasn't synced.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it should be okay. Why is there a... Oh, I got a bit red and there's like a red exclamation mark over the Dropbox icon in my like tray. So I clicked on it. It was like, we're changing the Dropbox icon. It's like, really? That's a bit over dramatic. Come on now. Save.
Okay, so it's loading. It's in there.
Cool.
So hopefully not that long.
Alrighty.
Do you hear my fan when I talk like this?
Closing OBS when he doesn't mean to.
Okay, good. So it means it
I
works.
didn't close it. I minimized it. Sorry. No, that's one good thing about these microphones is because you can turn the gain right down on them. It doesn't pick up any like my PC is like here, but like it's quiet. It's fairly quiet anyway. But like if I turn the gain up on it, like you can hear it now, and I'll probably implode your eardrums. But yeah, if you turn the gain right down, it'll just pick up your voice. So yeah, they're pretty good. These microphones are. But yeah, it sounds the difference in it is really good. So I should stop.